I'll be honest, the moment you start scrolling through the endless sea of cheap 4K security kits, you get that familiar gut feeling that something's going to go wrong the minute you hook the first camera up. I've seen people spend a weekend wiring a budget system, only to spend the next week watching a pixelated mess of static and wondering why the motion alerts never fire. That's why I'm not just looking at price tags, I'm looking at whether a system actually feels like a smarter buy after you've taken it out of the box and put it to work. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you're trying to protect a home that's split between a two-story house and a detached garage, or a small storefront that sees foot traffic all day, the stakes feel higher. You need something that will actually record clear footage, flag real events, and stay up without you having to babysit it. That's the exact spot the GW Security 16-channel 4K NVR tries to occupy. It promises 8MP resolution, AI-driven human and vehicle detection, and a 4 TB drive that should hold weeks of footage without you having to swap disks. The question is whether those promises hold up when you test them in the kind of everyday chaos most of us deal with. First off, the setup experience is surprisingly smooth for a 16-camera system. All 16 cameras come with Power over Ethernet connectors, so you only need a single network cable for power and video. I ran the NVR into a spare port on my router, plugged the cameras into the supplied PO switch, and the system's web interface discovered each unit within a few minutes. There's no need to juggle separate power adapters or hunt for a dedicated app to add each camera, the auto search does the heavy lifting. For anyone who isn't a networking geek, that level of plug-and-play is a real relief. The menus, while a little dense at first glance, follow a logical hierarchy. You start at the dashboard, click Camera Management, and you see a grid of all 16 feeds with checkboxes for enabling AI detection per channel. Turning the human vehicle detection on is just a toggle, and the system immediately starts tagging objects in the live view. Now, let's talk about the image quality where it matters most, low light performance. The cameras are 5MP units with a built-in IR illuminator, which means they can see in near total darkness up to about 30 feet. In my garage, where the overhead light is often off, the footage still shows enough detail to read a license plate when a delivery truck backs in. The AI detection still fires, but you'll notice a slight increase in false positives. The algorithm sometimes flags a stray cat as a human because of the way the IR light washes out silhouettes. That's a minor annoyance, but it's worth knowing if you have a lot of animal traffic. Autofocus competence is another area where the system shines. Because the cameras are fixed lens, you don't have to worry about hunting for focus after installation. The 8MP sensor captures fine detail at a distance, so you can zoom into a driveway and still see the make of a car. The only time the focus feels a bit soft is when you point a camera directly at a bright window. The HDR handling isn't as aggressive as higher-end models, and you'll get some glare. If your property has a lot of glass fronts, you might want to angle the cameras a bit to avoid that. One practical strength I've found is the AI line crossing and intrusion detection. You can draw virtual lines on the video feed, for example, across the driveway or at the entry to a backyard, and the NVR sends you an email or push notification when something crosses it. In a test where I walked through the driveway at night, the alert came through almost instantly, and the recorded clip highlighted the human shape in a green box. That level of specificity cuts down on the "I checked the camera and it was just a leaf blowing around" moments that make many users abandon their systems. On the flip side, the system does have a few practical weaknesses that become evident after a few weeks of use. The biggest is storage management. The bundled 4 TB drive fills up fast if you keep all 16 cameras recording at full 8MP resolution 24/7. The NVR will start overwriting the oldest footage, which is fine for most users, but there's no built-in schedule to drop resolution during quiet hours. You can manually set lower bit rates per camera, but that adds an extra step you have to remember. If you're looking for a truly set-it-and-forget-it solution and you don't want to invest in a bigger NAS later, you might need to be comfortable tweaking those settings. Another point to consider is the lack of a true battery backup. Because the cameras are PO, they rely on your router and switch staying up. If you experience a power outage and don't have a UPS hooked to the NVR, the